Are you interested in real estate investing but not quite sure where to get started? Do you want to get the know-hows on creating ongoing passive income using the buy and hold strategy? Hi, I'm Janice Bowles, licensed realtor and co-founder of B Premier Ventures, a real estate development and consulting firm where we buy and beautify distressed real estate, renovate it, and resell for profit. With over 15 years of investing experience, B Premier has extensive knowledge in rural land development, fix and flips, and rental acquisitions. B Premier's current portfolio consists of properties within Florida and Virginia. Our firm services includes investor project consulting, project management, and group coaching. For more information, visit our website at bpremierventures.com and schedule a complimentary discovery session or subscribe to our email list. It's free. Follow me on Instagram at Janice Bowles for additional real estate investing tips. B Premier Ventures, we buy and beautify.
Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode of Let's Do It Talk Show. It's your girl, Ladrine Howard Peterson, the CEO and founder of Do It. And you know what I do in a nutshell. I help to turn dreamers into doers. And I do it from two aspects. I do it from the aspect of career development, resume writing, interview preparation. You're looking to change jobs, I'm your girl. And I also do it from the aspect of business. You're looking to start a business. You have ideas and thoughts and don't know how to bring them into fruition, or you had a business and you're looking for a marketing strategy. Guess what? I am your girl. Here on the Let's Do It Talk Show, we were primarily created for entrepreneurs. However, as we went along, we realized and understand that entrepreneur is a whole person. So not only do we go at that angle, but we focus on faith, we focus on finances, we focus on the future, and we focus on family and relationships. Today is the third Monday of the month, and we are talking all about future. We're talking about dreams and careers. And we have some wonderful, wonderful special guests who will be joining us. But you know the resident, Dr. Kern, is also here. So before I get started and talking about the actual program, you know what I do? I like to share and talk about my weekend. So this weekend, it wasn't a whole lot at the ending, but the beginning part was very exciting. I got the opportunity to be a repeat speaker at the Faithpreneur Conference. And a Faithpreneur Conference is it's an entire weekend, and the stellar participants that they have on there, from William Jolly and his wife and so many other people. But the financial segment was just wonderful. But I did it from Zoom, from my home, and it was just a great time. In addition to that, this weekend, after meeting and connecting with so many people at Faithpreneur, I identified some of the interesting other folks that we can coordinate with. And then, y'all know I've been on my cooking thing. So I did barbecue chicken, mashed potatoes, kale greens, and potato salad. My cornbread is always on. And today I took leave to just relax. So our topic for today, it kind of sparked upon from the presidential picking his vice president nominee. And so for that, the topic of our episode is Real Queens Fix Each Other's Crown. And the topics that we're going to delve into is Let She Who Is Without Sin Cast the First Stone. The second one, Dreams Delayed But Not Denied. And then last but not least, the Catch-22 for female leaders. So first up, in terms of introductions, those who are new to the show, you may not know her, but she is a contributing host, Dr. Kern Hills Pruden. So Dr. Kern, welcome to the show. And if you could take a moment to share with the others, just give them a quick overview about you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Karen Hills Pruden. I am the career elevation expert for female middle managers seeking senior leadership positions. I am the person that you come to when you are interested in being a senior leader or going to the C-suite. Myself, I'm a dualpreneur. I own Prudent Global Business Solutions Consulting, and I am also a female leader in the C-suite for HBCU. So again, I am excited to be here this month. I'm excited about our topics, and I look forward to the discussion.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So also on the line with us, we have two very special guests. One is Miss Betsy Briscoe. And if you could just do a quick intro to let everyone know who you are.
I'm Bessie Briscoe. I'm a recent graduate of the University of the District of Columbia, class of 2020.
Yay!
Thank you so much. And Tennille Blackwell, how are you? Can you give a quick overview of you for our audience? Check your mic.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tennille Blackwell. I'm a wife, a mother, a business manager, a senior at the FAA, and I'm also a minister at Hemingway Memorial AME Church. And I look forward to talking to everyone this evening.
Absolutely. So I'm really super excited about today. I love when dreams come to fruition. So first up, let's talk to Dr. Karen. So Dr. Karen, one of the things that have kind of like been in the news is the whole VP nominee. And from that, there's been a series of things that have been on Facebook and Instagram. And one you even posted on your page, and I tagged you to say, "Oh, we're going to talk about that a little bit." So I have a couple of things that I pulled from pictures, video, and a meme from social media. So I want to share those. And while I'm sharing those, I want you to kind of like think about it on the topic of let she who is without sin cast the first stone. Because a lot of things have been coming across the screen, and I'm like, really, who has a right to judge anyone wholeheartedly as if they haven't done anything in the past? So let's share some of the videos and memes, and then we'll come back and we'll dialogue about that topic. Okay, yes. So that I pulled from Instagram, and I thought that she explained and expressed some of the things that I was feeling in a very lyrical way. So in terms of that, all the things that you have been saying that has been floating in the air, what are your thoughts? Being in the position as a female leader and have been in various different scenarios, what were your immediate thoughts when you saw all of the attacks that were thrown across the screen?
Well, for me, I'm an avid reader, so I have a wealth of knowledge in regards to Kamala's background, as well as I have an interest in law. And so I understand some of the backlash. I think some people think is well-deserved. I mean, she spent her career as a district attorney as well as an attorney general. And as a result of that, individuals feel that she is responsible for locking up people of color and in a great way. And so she has been deemed or viewed as kind of like as a enemy to the masses of the Black people. Her in terms of her record, Black people were arrested at a higher rate under her direction. She failed to support body cameras for police. She defended the 3 strikes law, which disproportionately causes people of color to be incarcerated. And so she supports the death penalty, which some people view as a modern day form of lynching. And so her identity as a Black woman, as an AKA, or even as an alumni of Howard University is overshadowed by her work record, which many feel should be scrutinized because they feel she is responsible for the high incarceration rate of African Americans.
And all of your points are very well taken, very well taken. In terms of her association with Howard University, in terms of her association with her sorority, and all of the great things that she have done and continue to do with that. Then on the flip side of it, here's my stance. Her role was a prosecutor. What do prosecutors do? They prosecute. I'm not diminishing the laws that she agreed with. I'm not diminishing how, at the end of the day, the number of Blacks disproportionate were locked up, and that is a fact. However, I think that when people are looking at these things, that they have to take it into the full totality perspective. If you are in an area where it is predominantly Black, the majority of the people that you lock up are going to be majority Black. So you have to understand things from a perspective of everything. And I don't say this to excuse her from the things that she has done, but I just want people to give her a fair chance and look at the her whole profile and understand like her role and her position. And still, even given that, I'm not saying give her a clear get pass, a get free pass. I'm not saying any of those things, but we have to understand that there's a bigger picture to it. But the one thing that tickled me hard was the meme that you shared. So I'm gonna share 2 pictures. First, I'm gonna share the one where Joe Biden and her were introduced on the stage. That one, I just think that represents power. That picture was very powerful powerful. In certain situations, the colors just like exuded power. So I'm very proud of her, very proud to have an African-American VP nominee, regardless of what people say about her race or what have you. And then to add some laughter to such a serious situation, the meme that you provided on your page was just hilarious. And it goes to show that no matter what goes on, people are going to say something. So it reads, Biden picks Jesus as his running mate. Black folks, Jesus ain't all that. And it was hilarious to me because we can be so tough on one another. And I'm not saying that we don't hold each other accountable. And then this right here, it was like it went directly to my thoughts. Searching for the lie. Instead of doing 3 facts and the truth, I did 3 facts and where is the lie? So my first one was women in leadership are not treated nor respected equally in comparison with their male counterparts. And the second one is Blacks who are business owners, working in corporations, whether it be they in Hollywood or wherever they are, they don't get the same opportunities that others get. And then my third one related to perfection. Nobody is perfection. So like, we can't be too hard and judgmental on people. We don't want them to be that way on us. And then where is the lie? Where is the lie pretty much is help fix her crown, hold her accountable for everything that she did, but don't add another obstacle to her. She already has a lot that she has to deal with entire America. So with that said and understanding that, my question for you, what are some of the issues that women leaders deal with that their male counterparts don't have to?
And that's for me.
Yes, Dr. Karen, sorry.
Um, Actually, women often have to put more effort in their work than their male peers in order to get the same recognition and praise. A lot of times, women, the perceptions are strong and lead to women kind of overworking themselves just to get a thumbs up, just to get the recognition that they deserve. Another thing is that there are unfair associations between appearance and work performance with women leaders than opposed to men. There's judgment on your clothing, your whether you do or do not wear makeup, your size. And sometimes if you don't look polished, have a polished appearance, then they attribute that to your ability to do your job. And then sometimes if you dress too well, then they say that you overly pay attention to how you look, and they assume that you're trying too hard. And so men don't have to deal with the biases that are associated, the unfair associations between appearance and work performance. And then thirdly, there is sometimes this bias of being seen as an admin. Since I'm in a senior leadership position, usually it's like one or two of us that's at the table in a room full of men. And I guarantee you, if there is a meeting of 5 men and 1 woman and they need someone to take the notes, they're looking at the woman to take the notes. And I don't take the notes, but they're looking at the woman to take the notes because there's a bias of women being seen as administrative. I mean, we have out of all of the vice presidents that are in business, only 27% are vice presidents, only 23% are SVPs, and only 17% are CEOs. And so that gender imbalance from the top of the organization to the bottom of the organization, but mostly at the top, causes biases to maintain and exist, and men don't have to deal with that type of stuff. No one looks at a man to take notes.
Absolutely. And it is so funny that you say that. And Tennille and Miss Bessie, I'll ask you about that. I have another question for Karen, and my response will tie into that. It's so funny that you say that. I will never forget my first international trip with my organization. We had to go to China. And at the meeting, I was the presenter. I was the one that had all of the information. And when we got into the room and into the forum, and mind you, China has a different type of culture on top of everything else. But nonetheless, when we got into the room, it was almost like when I began to speak, their eyes were still on my male counterpart. And I'm looking like, no, hey, it's me. And then my name threw them off, Ladrine. They didn't know whether it was a male or female because it didn't have Miss or Mr. in front of it. But I never will forget that experience, that feeling that I felt during that experience. So my question then goes into not only from a woman's standpoint, but like realistically for us, adding the Black into it. So being a Black woman in leadership, Dr. Kern, in addition to what you said, what other pieces would you add on to that makes it more complex? And then Tennille and Miss Bessie, I'll go to you after that.
Well, I find it interesting. There was a study done by a psychology professor that asked a group full of college students, to describe a Black executive. And so what they did was they described a Black male. Wow. And when they asked them to describe a female executive, they described a white female executive. And so what that study tells me is that because Black women are not seen as your typical Black executive or as your female executive, and we fall in both of those categories. So we suffer from a stage of invisibility and being invisible within the workplace. It's like now you see us, now you don't, because there's so few of us, and then we're not what individuals consider to be their ideal association with a Black executive. And that is even among other Blacks. If you ask Blacks, those questions, it was Blacks in the room when that study was done. And so if we even don't view ourselves as Black female executives, then how can we sponsor one another and elevate one another to these the positions at the C-suites, positions in the corner office, senior leadership positions. That's part of the work that I do, is to promote, sponsor, coach, and mentor female leaders. But if we don't even see ourselves as leaders, then that makes my task even more difficult.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we'll get to some of the comments that they're sharing online. And I want to include the other guests. So we're really going to focus on your stories and your information after the commercial. But in your lifetime, the various things that you have seen and experienced yourself, from the aspect of being in a leadership role, seeing leaders in a leadership role that are Black and female, what has been your experience or your observation? And Tennille, we'll start with you first.
Okay, so for me, I wanted to share a story really quickly about going back to what Dr. Karen was sharing about people assuming you are a secretary or a receptionist. So I went on travel with one of our managers, and we went to Cleveland, and we walked into the Port Authority, and the lady said, "I never knew that managers travel with their secretary." Whoa. She said, how good is that? And so I turned around and said, well, who's the secretary? Because I was there for the budget meeting. And the manager spoke up for me, so thank God for that. He said, "That's not my secretary, that's my business manager," or whatever. So there's nothing wrong with being a secretary or a receptionist, because I have had that job before, but it's always assumed. And when I walked into the room was full of all men, and I was the only woman in the room. So when I came out, I told her, I said, "You don't have to stay at this desk unless you choose to." So, I got that option. And I will say that I was in a training last week, and out of 16 people, I was the only person that looked like me, male or female. And that's the case a lot of the times. And what I find myself doing a lot is that I have to fight off the stereotype of a lazy Black woman or a lazy Black employee. So when they meet me, they don't think that I am up for the challenge. And I don't do it with my words. I do it with my actions. I think your work can speak for itself, but we have a long way to go. So when I'm sitting at the table, I'm in a meeting, it's very obvious to see that I stand out. And not just being a Black woman, but being Black and being a woman. I work at the FAA, of course, where there's a lot of women in leadership, but a lot of people that look like me have gave me the worst challenge in my career. You would think that they would look out for you because they know what they went through. However, they made it worse for me. And I hate to say it, but it was people that do not look like me that gave me a fair chance and actually invested in my career. So that's where I am. That's why I am where I am today. So
yeah,
that's
a totally different show. That's a different show, but I definitely understand you. And I'll say that mine has truly been a mixture. I have had some female Black leaders that I looked at and was able to gain so much insight of the ropes. And then there was some that the words, I can't even on air say the words right now to describe some of the treatment that has come from that. So I definitely understand you. So Miss Betsy, you being the youngest of the group, no, just playing. You with your experiences, my goodness, you have seen various things throughout your lifetime. And we have gone through different phases from all of the things that have been going on in society. So from your experiences and your observations, how would you weigh in on this topic?
I didn't hear the question. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem at all. So we're talking about the difficulties and the complexity that comes about from a female leader, and then adding on top of that a female Black leader. So just asking from your observations or in any of your experiences, what have been your observations from that standpoint?
From my observation, several years ago, I had my own business, and I was the lead person in the business, and the men that came in to join us didn't respect me. And so it was very difficult to get them to cooperate, or when we had meetings, they would just talk. And I always felt that if it was a man, it would be totally different, but I never got the respect. And this was back in the 70s, early 70s. And so at that particular time, we really, as a woman, we really were sort of out of line, because if it wasn't a man in leadership, it didn't make sense. It has to be a man. And so I was very upset. I didn't do well in my business because not being a man and not having the ability to do what I needed to do to further myself, I gave up on it.
Yeah. And it's so unfortunate that the way that society is and the way that and it's not just outside of our race, it's internal to our race as well. But we
Yes.
as women, we get it like double fold. So whereas as a Black person, you already have to do a certain degree. As a woman, you have to do a certain degree. So we as Black women, we almost have to do quadruple in comparison to our counterparts. One of the comments from our audience I want to share. So Jacqueline says, the eye contact towards the men has happened to me here in DC in a meeting with white men while I was speaking, a local experience. And then she also goes to say, we sometimes have to present a bio of accomplishments to be accepted. And that's crazy. It's almost like at the beginning of the meeting, instead of letting your words and your actions speak for itself, it's almost as if you need to present a bio. But I know at the beginning of my leadership roles, I was a little like on that tough end because I couldn't comprehend it. I came from Southeast DC, and where I came from, I didn't know about all this disparity or anything. And even though my family grew up in South Carolina has a different type of it, you know? So I was off balance. I was off balance because I was like, I know my work, like what's going on. So it was a struggle at some point, but very early on, and I'm thankful for it, I had some help. But like to cap it up in terms of this discussion, some of the things that I hear that, and I feel, and I have experienced, is that when females are in leadership roles, they'll either call them too emotional to deal with the issues, too feminine, or too masculine. It's like, what do you want me to be? And that goes back to some of the things that Dr. Kern was saying about your presence. The second thing, adding it on with the dynamics of being a Black female leader, you're accused of being angry and attitudey, and our counterparts with the same energy are referenced as being passionate, but we get the angry and the attitudey. And then for the last one, like emotional and all of the things combined makes it even challenging to do your work. Your job and completing your goals is already challenging enough than dealing with the different personalities of your staff. So it is a real complex issue and a myriad of things that you are working with. Coming up through the ranks, and I've been a supervisor for many, many years in the federal government, and I got my leadership role very early on. I honestly felt like every single move that I made, I represented my entire race. At other times, I felt like I was representing my entire gender population. And it was a whole lot on me. It was an extremely a lot. But these factors, along with my integrity and my ethics, it made me who I am today. So if I had to go through them again, only because I got through some of them, that's why I feel like I would do it again, because it made me who I am. But I know some moments I had, it was like, I'm about to call Pookie in there, because it was just like ridiculous and crazy. So, but yeah, so and before we go to commercial, the one thing that I want to say is Kamala Harris, she has so much that is all going against her. I'm not saying erase the things that she's done, and I'm not saying don't hold her accountable. But you all, please give her some grace. Like, give her some grace. And only way that I'll say, if you cannot give her grace if grace haven't been given to you. So that means everybody, right? So thank you all for tuning in for the first half. So we're going to go to a quick commercial. And on the flip side of things, we're going to talk about dreams delayed but not denied. We'll be right back.
Interested in real estate investing but not quite sure where to get started? Do you want to get the know-hows on creating ongoing passive income using the buy and hold strategy? Hi, I'm Janice Bowles, realtor and co-founder of B Premier Ventures, a real estate development and consulting firm where we buy and beautify distressed real estate, renovate it, resell for profit. Over 15 investing experience, B Premier has extensive knowledge in rural land fixing flips and rental acquisitions. B Premier's portfolio of properties within Florida and Virginia. This includes investor project consulting, project management, and group coaching. For more information, visit our website at bpremierventures.com and schedule a complimentary discovery session or subscribe to our email list. It's free. Follow me on Instagram at Janice for additional real estate investing tips. B Premier Ventures, we buy and beautify.
So thank you all so much for tuning in to the first half. So many people online, so I'll shout out some of you. Kelly Potter, Gianni Flowers, Jacqueline McSears. We also have Robert Hicks, and of course, my good girlfriend, LaShawn Reese Briscoe, Charlotte Brookins Hudson, Veronica Holland, Andre Watts, Major Bandy, and so many others. So thank you all for joining on, and my man Kevin Williams. We appreciate you tuning in, and please make sure that if you are not already following us all across social media, all the different platforms, it is a Let's Do It Talk Show. That's our name on Facebook, Instagram, as well as our YouTube channel. So we're going to jump into the next segment, and it is Dreams Delayed But Not Denied. And first up is Miss Betsy Briscoe. So let's begin.
I gotta be here so I can hear the questions.
Instagram as well.
Miss Betsy, are you on?
And it is Dreams Delayed But Not Denied. And first up is Miss
You have
Betsy
something duplicated.
Briscoe.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Miss Betsy, are you on?
Yes.
It is Dreams Delayed But
So
Not
actually,
Denied.
mute your phone. We're going to mute you, and we're going to go to Tanel.
Yes.
I'm going to come back to you. Your volume is turned up on your phone or some other device that is causing conflict. So we're going to come back to you. So same topic, dreams delayed but not denied. We are going to go to Tennille. Tennille, how are you?
Sound.
Tennille, can you hear me? All right.
Lost the sound.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go to commercial very quickly so that we can make sure that you hear our guests very clearly. Thank you all. Sorry for the difficulty. So we're going to try it again with Miss Betsy Briscoe. Miss Betsy, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can.
Great, great, great. Thank you. So let's jump into the discussion. So proud about your accomplishments. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So first, what inspired you to want to complete your college degree?
Well, as I said, growing up in the South in the 40s and 50s, we were called colored. We weren't black. And anyway, little colored girls didn't have opportunities to have a good education. And my family, all of the family members were domestic workers. My dad would shine shoes and he was a garbage collector. So I didn't come from a family of educated people. But what they wanted for me, they trusted me, they believed in me, and they wanted me to have an education. And so that was my goal. Education became my all in all. So I graduated high school in 1958, went to A&T College in Greensboro, North Carolina, and was there for a couple of years. But in the meantime, I would come to Washington, D.C. during the summer months, and I met the love of my life, John Briscoe. Well, I was at A&T for a couple of years, and after that, John and I got married. I moved here to Washington, D.C., and we had 5 sons. So naturally, I couldn't go back to college right away. But all in all, I always wanted to go back and get the education that I believed I should have, and that my mother and my family always wanted me to have. But in 1989, my husband had a stroke.
Oh.
And I became a caregiver. So that meant that school was postponed further and further. But in 1992, I returned back to UDC for a few years. And in 1994, my aunt got sick, so I became a caregiver for her. So now here I am, a caregiver for my husband, a caregiver for my aunt. And it seemed like my college education was like not going to happen. But I've always been a person that I always believed that to give up is to admit defeat. And I was never going to be defeated no matter what.
Amen.
Initially, when I got into business, when the men didn't respect me, I let that go because it obviously wasn't the time for that. But when I returned to UDC in 2015, here we go again. Many obstacles came my way. But I was so determined to get my degree, it didn't really matter because by then I had God in my life and I knew that I had the strength, I would get the strength that I needed to do what I needed to do to proceed and become successful. So anyway, in 2017, I had a personal illness. I was in the hospital 4 times.
Wow.
I was like, when am I going to graduate? So in 2018, my mother passed in May of 2018. In June of 2018, my brother passed. These people were my cheerleaders. They were the ones who said, you can do it, you can do it. And I believed it. But anyway, I recovered from that and continued on. By now, I'm a senior at UDC, University of the District of Columbia.
Yes.
But I was determined to graduate. My professors at UDC were awesome. Everybody really was just so helpful to me. Here I am, a senior citizen and a senior at UDC.
I love it.
But anyway, my freshman year, I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional.
That's okay.
The spring semester, the day we were supposed to go back for the spring semester, my husband passed. And so, you know, I've been going to school for 62 years, not straight, but intermediately going to school for 62 years, still trying to get this degree because I was determined. And I used to hear people say that, I heard a person say that if the dream is big enough, the facts don't count. So I took that and I said, you know what? This is not going to stop me. My husband was my cheerleader. And he loved for me to come in and share class, my stuff that I studied in class with him. And when he passed, I said, you know, I'm going to do this no matter what. And then here we come with the pandemic. So I didn't get a chance to walk down the aisle and be excited like I thought I would be, but that wasn't the goal. The goal was the degree. So when that degree came in the mail, oh, I was so excited. I praised God. I shouted. I zipped that envelope, pulled that degree out. I hugged it. I thought about my mom, my brother, my husband, all my cheerleaders. And I knew they were so happy for me. I knew they were, because this was not just my dream. It was their dream for me.
Yes.
And I thank you for the opportunity to share. Got that degree. Here it is. I got to share it. Praise God. I'm 80 years old. Thanks be to God.
Wow, you have me so choked up over here. Your story is so amazing, so amazing. So one of the things, like, I'm so happy that you are on this platform, but this is not the first platform that you have been on. One other radio show gave an overview and said yours, but I was so happy when I was contacted by your daughter-in-law, who knows that Allison Seymour is a personal friend of mine. And I don't utilize my friendship with Allison for too many things of asking to either be shown on Fox 5 or either on the radio show that she was on. But I was more than excited to send your information over. And
Thank you.
She immediately said yes. And it was the timing and everything. I felt like I was included in it because it was the orchestration of, hey, I'm going to play it on this day, and hey, I'm going to play it between this time, because we all know that when you're on live recording, you don't know the exact time. So me and Sean were playing, like, hold on, like, wait. So we're going back and forth
Yes.
so that they can surprise you, so that they can make sure that you hear it. Hearing your story, I'm serious, it just touches me on so many different levels. And here it is again, when something in terms of your business had caused a delay, right? And when we go through various things, it can make us feel like giving up on not just that
Yes.
thing, but it'll mess with your mindset on other things to come. But when you
Yes.
persevere and you stand, the important thing that you said was God. When you stand on the word of God and you know and you
Amen.
understand that prior to you even being born, that your life had been predestined, like everything
Yes.
that he was going to do for you was already designed, like that's the beauty of it. And that ends up being like that pivotal turning point. When you get that into your mindset, you know that you cannot fail. So
That's
your
right.
mindset shifts. And I loved when you said that. When you said that monumental moment, you talked about all of these things happen. All of these things happen, but God. This happened, that happened, but God. So
But God. Amen.
amen, amen, and
Yes,
amen.
that's
We gotta
where my
get one
strength
for the
comes
Son,
from.
Father, and the Holy Ghost on that.
Yes.
But your story
Yes.
is so like super powerful, and I hope that you continue to find various platforms to share it as an inspiration to people who are going through various things. You are 80 years young, 80 years young. And you steadfast, you persevere, and you got your college degree. So even
That's
though
right. That's right.
COVID-19 caused like some obstacles and some different things, you have it, and you have your degree, touching it, all the feelings that you felt, you just got to me. But what I want to ask you in closing, for anyone who's listening, anyone under the sound of your voice, in terms of inspiration, what words of encouragement will you leave them with in terms of fulfilling their dreams?
There's so many scriptures that I would like to relate, but this one, there's so many, and there were so many times that I really, at my age, wanted to just say, I'm so tired, I don't know if I can do this.
Right.
But I knew, trusting God in all things, I knew without a doubt, in my knower, I knew. And it's in Isaiah, and it talks about when you wait on the Lord.
Come on, Isaiah 28.
When you wait, he will give you the strength. No matter what, he'll give you the strength. But you have to trust. You have to believe that. And I do. I believe it. I believe it. I would look back at my past and see where God had brought me from. And that's what made the difference. I wasn't there. I'm here. And I didn't bring myself here. He brought me here. And I know that. So to me, you really have to believe. You do. And really trust God. You really have to trust God, because that's what I've done. I couldn't have made it if I hadn't. And I didn't know what I was going to say when I came on, but I knew that the Lord would lead me to say what needed to be said. And if it doesn't need to be said, I won't say it.
Amen. You got me rocking like I'm up in church. So by the way, as I began to post your information, so many people started saying, that's the mother of my church. So Kelly Potter is my friend. And when she sent over, like, share it, that's the mother of my church. And I think Sean may have mentioned it to me, but I think it kind of like went past. So please, by all means, share with us your church information.
It was so much static, I didn't hear your last question.
Yes, I was just asking if you could share your church's information.
My church information. Oh, I would be glad to. Impact One Church on Central Avenue, 7230 Central Avenue. And our pastor is Pastor Juan Wilder. Dynamite pastor and First Lady, Melanie Wilder.
I was about to say, whoop, whoop, you got me hype over there. I absolutely love your energy. I love your energy. So we definitely have to connect some more.
I need
your
more.
Energy is just like vibrant.
Thank
but
you.
You have
Thank
so
you.
many cheerleaders who are online saying, yes, ma'am, Miss Briscoe, this, I don't feel no way tired, trust and believe, that's right. They're shouting out all of the things you said. Zakaya says, our life is mapped out. We just have to tap into the GPS, God positioning system. Tina, so many people are on cheering you that know you and don't know you, Adrian Partner, and so on. So when you go back and look at the feed, you will see all of your cheerleaders, everybody that you are inspiring.
That's great. That's great.
I'm inspired. I'm looking at our other guest space in the contributing host space. Everybody is inspired. So thank you so much for gracing our show. I so
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. It was an honor.
Every word that you said. So we're going to put up this graphic one more time, and then Tennille, we're going to go to you. All right, so thank you so much, and let's go to Tennille. So Tennille, oh my God, so y'all gonna make me cry up in here. I was trying to calculate like the actual time where we had our discussion so that we can start from that point. So I counted a decade back. I think it was about 10 years ago when we had this conversation. So I want to sort of pick up where we left off and bring it all up to speed for our audience. As I remember, you were selected for a program that you didn't even qualify for. So can you begin by talking about that, and then we'll talk about how it transitioned in terms of what happened next?
Thank you. Thank you, Ladrine. So yes, it's about a decade ago, and I had went to Ladrine and asked her and two other people who at that time I looked up to for what they were doing in their careers, and asked them, can I do an executive interview? So I had been selected for an executive interview program, which was 9 months for candidates, really that was going to go into an executive position. However, I was 4 grades away from being eligible for an executive position, but I still was able to do the program. And in doing the program, I started with the end in mind. So starting with the end in mind, taking that training allowed me to develop an individual development plan that helped me over the past decade get to where I am today. So that's where we left off. But a lot has happened since then.
Absolutely. So the thing that gets me in terms of that, and immediately like with your story, it is that like God calls us, right? God calls us. So even though you don't meet the qualifications that are written or the requirements that are written somewhere, when we find other avenues by obeying God, He will make our pathway to make us surpass whatever like the standard process that you could have even imagined going through the standard process. So when I tell you like your story like excites me, because it's not only your career, your family. You didn't have that last name back then. You had the cute kids that were running around church. By the way, I met her from Community of Hope Church. And I mean, so many things. And then you posted another picture on Facebook, and then you also graduated. So when I say blessings upon blessings upon blessings upon blessings, I can't even keep up with your blessings, but I'm so excited about like just what God is doing in your entire life. So how would you describe your journey over the past 10 years? And if there's any major milestones that you want to share, please do that as well.
So this past weekend, I graduated. I got my Master's of Divinity degree with my concentration in leadership. So that program is designed for 5 years because, of course, I work full time. But that was a journey all in itself. In order to get there, I also had to go to Bible college. So I did psychology and counseling and then bootstrap biblical studies, Christian family and ministry in 2 different Bible colleges. So it's been a rocky process, but the key thing is you have to trust the process.
Amen.
And I had to stop listening to people and I started to trust God. And with everything, it was just trusting God. I love when someone tells me I can't do something, or I'm never going to be something, or that they speak against what I believe God is instructing me to do, because that just fuels my fire to allow my work to speak for itself. So you don't always have to put everything into words, because if God is fighting your battles, then you just keep moving forward and you allow him to fight your battles. And that's just what I've been doing. But it's been a roller coaster. I remember just a few years ago, I felt like God dropped me at the bottom of the well. And he told me that if you think that you're doing this on your own, that you're getting ahead because of something that you're doing in your own strength, you got another thing coming. And it was a very humbling experience, because in order to get to where God has for you to go, you have to be broken. You can't be so strong-willed that your ego is bigger than who God is in your life. And if you think that all your accolades is coming from just you, your ego sometimes can ruin it for you. And every time I meet people, I try to meet people and treat everybody like I want to be treated, despite what they did to me, what they said to me. There's people that congratulated me on my husband and I purchasing a new home that we're building from the ground up, plus my graduation on Saturday, that I know told me I was never going to be anybody, that I was dreaming too big and God don't move that fast, or I was just chasing after a title. I do everything I do before I even had a title. So it's not about the title. Your power don't come from your title. God gives you the power. So if you're chasing a title and you don't have no character, you ain't going to make it nowhere. And I think that we got to feel our pain. The biggest thing for me over the past 10 years is I've done had some bad experience. I've had some setbacks. Not just me, my family as well. And you have to feel that pain. You can't cover it up. Like I remember Reverend Bill at Community Hope Preach, you got to show your scars. You do. You got to show other people that you've been through something. You're not all high and mighty. You go through stuff too, and you got to keep it real. You can't show someone how to get out of something if you have never been through it.
Come on.
So you can have that academic experience, but it doesn't mean something to someone that's in the middle of a disaster or the middle of a storm. They need somebody to show them, I got out of it. Like Miss Bessie's story. She still got her degree. She went through the process. It may have been longer for her than some other people. However, she can show someone else how to get through the same process. But so many of us are not willing to share our story so that other people in our shoes are able to move forward. Because we're going to go through. But the fact is, we're going to get through. But it takes a village.
Absolutely. And I love that you pointed out and you shared the piece of when you felt like you was at the bottom of the barrel. And you still trusted in God. Like it wasn't a perfect process. It was some hills to climb, but you still trusted in God. And then the whole scripture where it tells you that your enemy will be your footstool. And it's not meant to be in a negative or derogatory way, but God tells you to keep faith and hold on to his unchanging hand, and that the very ones that make fun of you, and the very ones that show a lack of respect by saying you that you can't do this or you shouldn't try or this is too hard, it'll be the very ones that he shows you that you can. And it's almost like your story as you depicted it, like follow the book of Dangerous Prayers. Dangerous Prayers breaks it down and just tells us in terms of all of these various things. And when you talked about being broken, it gives you that level of humility to understand, and you know that you know that you know that you know. It don't have anything to do with your degrees. It don't have anything to do with anything that you're doing. It is by the grace of God and God's mercy that he chose you as a vessel to do those things that you are doing. So we have to be obedient, and share our testimony with others. And then the last part of it is send me. send me. Like when you are chosen to do something, and just as Dr. Karen has shared her experiences, and she works with women to help them to get to that level and give them the skill sets that they need as they're going through that. The same thing with Miss Betsy. As you share your story, we hear and we understand that it doesn't matter how many years that it takes. We can go to the Bible and understand that, but you are living everyday proof right here on earth that it doesn't matter the timeline. In God's timing, it will come to fruition. And then circling right back with you, Tennille, in terms of everything that you went through, the people that told you this, and what your situation looks like, and where you are now. It's hard to even put it into words, but the thing that I love about you is despite all of that, it never was a point where you feel like I can't do, or I shouldn't do, or I'm not going to do. So that was what attracted me to you. Your tenacity, it didn't even matter. You were like, can I interview you, da-da-da, and we had the discussion, and just during the interview, I just loved your energy, and I felt like, it's like it was almost, and it's crazy to say it, but I'm saying it. It was almost no way that you wouldn't make it. It was almost no way that you wouldn't make it in your serving in church. So I'll stop at that. But you talked about challenging aspects. What was the most rewarding component of it?
I think the most rewarding of it is to look back down and see all of the seats that God reserved for me. I've been at meetings and at tables where I know I didn't deserve to be in a room. I just know my history I shouldn't have been in none of those meetings. In a lot of meetings I was in, I didn't have a word to say, but he allowed me to be in the presence to observe. And all of that information I'm able to use in the position that I am in today. But I had someone come up to me when I got into this position that I'm in, and she said, "How did you get here?" And I was like, "Oh, well, I just moved upstairs from the 6th floor to the 7th floor." She said, "No, that's not what I'm asking you." She said, "It's so rare to see someone that has an open door policy that's so nice and friendly." Because as I said a little while ago, people that look like us sometimes, not like Dr. Karen, who is very nice and looking to encourage and develop other women. But I've had a lot of women that look like me that just held me close enough to help them get to where they needed to go, and then they tossed me to the side. And so that's been a lot of experience. So I've noticed that I've been coaching and mentoring and helping bruised women in the workplace because they have been overwhelmed and used and abused in the workplace only for someone else to get ahead. And I think the most rewarding thing for me is God put me in a position where I can help other people. And not only that, it's not just in the workplace, because as you look at my Facebook all day, every day, I'm encouraging people in everything that I do. I do the very same thing at work. I try to be the same all the time. And I think that encouragement goes a long way. Saying good morning, saying good afternoons, just saying, "Oh, you look nice today," giving compliments, because you never know what someone is going through. And right now with the COVID situation, just a little bit of encouragement will go a very long way.
Absolutely. So we are going to wind down, but I want to ask you the same question. In terms of everything that you went through, what words of inspiration would you leave with our audience to encourage them to fulfill their dreams?
I would just like to tell everybody that where you are today doesn't have to be where you always remain. I think that we all have the opportunity to obtain better. We are never too old to obtain our goals. We've already heard that from our own stories, but I think that we have to believe in ourselves. If you want someone else to believe or sow into you, you have to do the very same thing. It's so many people that's just waiting on a handout. Don't wait on a handout, be the handout. Put that work into whatever it is that God has showed you to do. I don't care how wild it is, how crazy it is. You might not even have no money to do it. Just believe that God's gonna make a way and you'll be able to do it, because I'm living proof that you can do whatever it is that God has promised for you to do. But you got to put in the work. So we can't sit back and expect other people to do the work for us. If we want something, we have to go after it. And you have to go around it the right way. Nobody owes us anything. We got to put in the work to obtain everything that we are going after. And I think that for people who are just sitting back and don't think that their turn is coming, it's coming. I think about the woman with the issue of blood. Don't look at it as Jesus was walking with a gentleman, Jairus, on the way to his daughter. And he was supposed to be going to help him with his daughter, but he stopped because the woman touched him. So just because she touched him, it held him up from getting his blessing, but he still was able to get his blessing. So sometimes people get it before you, but don't let that distract you from still pressing forward to be able to touch him too. So, if that's what you believe that God has called you, or God is going to give you something or do some new things, healing, deliverance, whatever it is that you're believing God for, you have to trust God, because nobody else can do it for us but him. I think we put too much trust and faith in people, and people can fail us every time. So for me, I had to grow up in my relationship with God, and that was a very hard thing to do because I wanted to do me. Yeah. But God had more for me. And the moment that humility hit me and I was able to be obedient, I was able to obtain what he had for me.
Girl, humility is something else. Thank you so much. Like, they are shouting online. I'm gonna call it shouting. They are shouting and amen and everything online in terms of your conversation. Jacqueline, I love this dialogue too. We are going to have a part 2 of this. Dr. Karen, so in terms of all of the various things that you have gone through, I wanted you to take a moment just to talk about, like, because we're going to have a subject, a show that's specifically dedicated about your book. But what inspiring words would you leave to the audience in terms of fulfilling their dreams?
Repeat your question again, Ludrine.
The question that I asked the two of them at the end is, what inspiring words would you leave to encourage the audience to fulfill their dreams?
I would say that, sometimes throughout your career or throughout a journey, when you're pursuing a goal, you'll hit a rough patch, and sometimes you'll meet difficult people. But you can also learn and benefit from those difficult people. One of my worst bosses ever, in one of her tirades, said that I should be speaking at conferences. And I acted on that one statement that she said in one of her tirades and submitted a proposal to speak at conference. And 5 years later, I am a sought after speaker at conferences. And great. So even when you're going through a difficult experience, even when you're dealing with difficult people, try to take the nuggets from that experience and act on it and see if it's something that you can do with that information. Because she didn't think that I would act on, her saying that, but I thought about what she said and realized that it was lined up with my professional goals. I'm a self-taught individual. I Googled how to do a proposal. I, found a template, did a proposal, and to the top organization of my field, which is the Society for Human Resource Managers, because I work in human resources, I was accepted as a speaker. So it wasn't even a smaller organization. It was the top renowned organization of my field, and I was a first-time speaker. So there is a blessing even in a difficult and bumpy journey. And so my inspiration to everybody is, when you're going through, try to find that nugget and capitalize on that nugget as you're going through that difficult journey.
Yeah. So there you have it. There you have it. Miss Briscoe says never give up. And then we had Tennille, who said, do it. What's the name of the show? Like, do it. That's my motto. That's how I live. That's what I live by every day. And then Dr. Kern came in and swooped it right up. Like, just show them. Like, and map your own way. Stop looking for handouts. So the show has been phenomenal. We have to bring it to a close. We will definitely have a part 2 for this discussion. It has been so engaging. Next week, we have the relationship show where we have Coach Neek, who will come in and give us some points on relationship. Always a phenomenal show. So thank you everyone who have tuned in and engaged in the dialogue. It's just like phenomenal. Regina, thank you so much. And then I have authors and everything. Miss Chappelle Robinson, glad to see you online. And I'm going to have to give an award to Jacqueline McSear. She has been the most commentated on the line. So thank you all so much. Thank you so much, Miss Briscoe, for honoring our stage. We are so happy that you joined. Thank you so much to Neil. And always a pleasure,
Thank you.
my partner in HR, not my partner in crime, my partner in HR, Dr. Kern. Thank you all so much. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you all next week. Thank you all. Be blessed.
Thank you.